Hey, you bit Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to my Sunday live news stream. A few stories to look at this week. A bit of Babylon 5, bit of Star Wars, bit of Star Trek, and other stuff as well. Bit of Indiana Jones. I'm live on YouTube. I'm also live on Rumble. Let's check and make sure I'm live on Rumble. It's got to press refresh about 8 million times for it to come on. Yes, we're live on Rumble. And we are live on Twitch as well. I keep saying, I don't know why I keep doing Twitch. Because the button is available on StreamYards, that's why. So I do Twitch. But I'm not getting hardly get any views of 2 followers. Thank you, those 2 followers, whoever you are. But I don't even know why I keep doing it. We got a comment already from Ottakar. Hello, Ottakar. Welcome to the show. It's a glorious day here in sunny West Yorkshire. I've got the windows open. I've got the ceiling fan on. I'm still sweating cobs. Got a bottle of cold water. But it's grand. I should be sitting out in the garden rather than sitting inside doing geeky news. But, you know, what the heck. Right, let's get on with the news. Anything else? Oh, right, by the way, before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell. If you're subscribed already, you know, most people don't subscribe because most people watch YouTube without signing in, don't they? Hello, DJ. Been a while since I've seen you. Oh yeah, Ottakar putting the mockers on it. Storms later in the day, apparently. Oh, marvelous. I hope it's a good one. I like a good lightning storm. Where were we? Oh, right, yeah. Most YouTube people that watch YouTube don't sign in. You know, they watch it unsigned in. But if you signed in, give us a subscribe. It'll help. Maybe one day we'll get monetized and they could do like super chats and stuff and, you know, earn some pocket money to pay for this 25 bloody quid a month StreamYards. Anyway, what else? I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm also on Rumble, as I said, and Twitch. And later on, I'll be on Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links are in the description, as are links to my 2 books, Silent Predator, short horror novella about big cats eating people in North Yorkshire. I've no big cat news this week, not that I've noticed. Mercury Rapids, light-hearted sci-fi action adventure about UFOs and stuff. I could have had some UFO news because there has been some UFO news, but I forgot to look it up. There's a whistleblower apparently saying that they've got 12, you know, alien UFOs in American hands, but we've known that for years anyway. That's what Area 51's for, isn't it? And before that, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Hangar 18 and all that. Right, what else? I think that's it, isn't it? I think that's it. We can start now. Right, so I'll make this full screen and we shall begin. I'll make myself titchy. There we go, titchy. Titchy Steve. My best mate when I was a kid, up to about the age of 10, 11 years old, he was called Titch. That was his nickname because he was little. I forgot his bloody name now. Michael Lee was his name. If you're watching, Michael, you were my best mate for about 10 years. Well, the first 10 years of my life. Then I saw you in the pub once and you totally blanked me. So, you know, shite to you. Anyway, right. Exclusive. Idris Elba in talks for villain role in Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie. No, because that movie's not going to happen, in my opinion. This is from Giant Freaking Robot, so take it with a huge pinch of salt. We've exclusively learned that Idris Elba is in negotiations. By the way, did I say links are in the description? No, I didn't do that. Links are in the description for all the stories we're covering today. We've exclusively learned, as in GFR, that Idris Elba is in negotiations to play the villain of Daisy Ridley's upcoming Star Wars film, alleged upcoming Star Wars film, even though Kathleen Kennedy announces it. Don't mean it's going to happen. By the way, I presume you can hear me because you've mentioned storms later on, but I will just check. And make sure you can hear my droning monotone. Yes, you can. Right. Where were we? He's fought Captain Kirk, not the real Captain Kirk, the Chris Pine one. He's tussled with Hobbs and Shaw, which I've never seen that film. And now, thank you, Ottakar. Sound is good, very, very good. Or as good as it's going to get with me. And now we may very well lock horns with the Jedi, according to our trusted and proven sources. It's also fought aliens, in Prometheus. Don't forget that. Sort of, aliens. According to our trusted and proven sources, Idris Elba is in talks to join Daisy Ridley's upcoming Star Wars feature. They also say that if Elba signs on, he will be the villain of the film, suggesting we could see Heimdall himself wielding a red lightsaber instead of a sword. It's not going to happen. That film's not going to happen. Personally, I think the only one of those 3 films that Kathleen Kennedy announced that's going to happen is the Dave Filoni one. There isn't a lot of hard info available for the Star Wars feature Idris Elba is in talks to join, because it's not going to happen. We know Daisy Ridley will allegedly reprise her role as Rey, and that it will be set after the events of 2019's The Rise of Palpatine. Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, Ms. Marvel, which I quite enjoyed, Ms. Marvel. I just don't like Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, because she has fun making men feel uncomfortable. Imagine if a man said that, a male director said, he found it fun to make women feel uncomfortable. He'd get hauled across the coals or raked across the coals, whatever the phrase is. Dragged across the coals. I don't know. Anyway, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, Ms. Marvel, is attached to direct, and Stephen Knight, Peaky Blinders, is writing the screenplay, allegedly. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has confirmed the movie will take place in a new era called the New Jedi Order, and most are assuming the movie will see Rey fittingly trying to rebuild that order. Considering that, it would make sense if Idris Elba were negotiating to play a Sith character, perhaps even one who starts off as an ally to Rey. However, at this point, we can only speculate on the nature of that role. Yeah, you just made that up. There he is in Star Trek Beyond, which I actually quite liked. I wasn't a huge fan of the JJ Star Trek films, but Star Trek Beyond was okay. It had its problems. Really, the fact that he was a spoilers, by the way. Idris Elba played a Starfleet officer, and they went into this weird place, and this alien technology somehow changed them into aliens and made them speak a different language. Don't know why. Anyway, if talks go well between Idris Elba and Lucasfilm, the actor's entry into Star Wars will leave very few big science fiction franchises the Luther star isn't attached to. He played the villain Kroll in 2016's Star Trek Beyond, Knuckles in 2022's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Heimdall for Marvel, Bloodsport for DC, and Stacker Pentecost in 2013's Pacific Rim. He was even the bad guy Brixton in 2019's Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. And while Fast and Furious isn't generally seen as a sci-fi franchise, I think it is now, isn't it? They went to space, for God's sake, in a car. Elon Musk did that anyway. Considering his villain is cybernetically enhanced, we think it rates. In fact, just this week, Idris Elba joined another growing science fiction series, a gaming series instead of a film one, at least for the moment. This week saw the release of the long-awaited Phantom Liberty expansion to CD Projekt Red's popular action RPG Cyberpunk 2077, which I've got, and I've not got very far into it. But I did quite enjoy what I've played, so far. But I just stopped playing it and then forgot about it. I've got it here somewhere. I'll show you. I'm not lying. Where is it? It's there. Look, I can see it. See, I'm not fibbing. Look, it's there. Look. I'll get round to it eventually. Right. Where were we? As the protagonist, the player teams up with FIA agent Solomon Reed, whom Elba voiced and provided motion capture for. I presume that's from the game. There we go. We'll be keeping our ears to the ground for more details on the bad guy role Idris Elba may play in one of the next Star Wars movies. When we know, we'll make sure you know. Thank you, giant freaking robot. But I still don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think James Mangold's, one set so many thousand years in the past. I don't think that was going to happen either. Because nobody wants it, to be honest, apart from James Mangold and Kathleen Kennedy. My left hand is itching. that means I'm going to lose money somehow. That's what my mum always told me. Left to lose, right to receive if your palms itch. That's what she always told me. Anyway, so there we go. What do you think? Is Idris Elba going to be in Star Wars? He could be. And it'd be a welcome addition because he's a good actor, is Idris Elba. But I just don't think the film's going to happen. Get him in the James Mangold, not James Mangold, the Dave Filoni one as a baddie. What am I doing? Oh, yes, going to the next story. Right, Babylon 5 next. Right, here we go. There you go. The other day, it was June the 9th. What day are we on today? It's 11th, isn't it? Yeah. So a couple of days ago, J. Michael Straczynski posted on his Twitter, folks have been asking what style would be used for the Babylon 5 animated movie. During the Phoenix Fan Fusion Convention, with Warner's permission, I showed the first images from the movie seen anywhere. They now have kindly given the go-ahead to post them online as well. So here we go. But before we get to that, Otkar saying Disney is shedding assets. Anything not in production is suspended or summit. Well, yeah, that's what I've heard as well. That the shedding. That's where the rumours come from that they want to sell Lucasfilm. I don't think they will personally, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. I'm definitely not going to sell it back to George Lucas, even though he's allegedly got first refusal if they do decide to sell. So you never know. You never know. Weirder things have happened, haven't they? But I don't think they're going to sell it. I think they'd be more likely to sell off like physical assets, like some of the parks, or sell off sort of like the parks as franchises, if you know what I mean. They still remain as Disney parks, but somebody else will run them. You know what I mean? Like McDonald's and KFC restaurants, they're all franchises, aren't they? Somebody buys that franchise, but it's still a McDonald's or a KFC, if you know what I mean. But it's like independently run, sort of. Anyway, back to Babylon 5. Right, so here we go. These first images. Let's have a look. Is it going to pop up? There we go. So who's this fella here? It's obviously an Earth Alliance, Earth Force officer, but I don't know who he is. Is it Franklin, perhaps? I don't know. I don't know who he is. But he's in white. What did white? What? Who wore white in the Earth Force? I can't actually remember. Because I was wore blue when I watched it. There's Lazarus. There he is. I presume he's going to be voiced by somebody else because I think Tim Choate, who did him in Babylon 5, I think he's passed away. I think quite a few of them have passed away. But it's nice to see Lazarus is back. So they're going to be going down to I forgot the name of it now. The planet that Babylon 5 orbits. Epsilon 3. Is it Epsilon 3? Yes, I think it is. So it looks like they're going back down there. Oh, he's coming up to Babylon 5. Here we go. There's Sheridan and there's Delenn. I presume they've got somebody else in to voice her. Otkar says the animation on Babylon 5 looks crisp, very watchable. Yep, it looks like that. It's like CG animation, but done to look like 2D animation. It looks that way to me. So, but we'll see. I haven't seen it in motion. Has there been a trailer yet? I don't know. Anyway, and that must be Lanier. Remember, he left to be a ranger, didn't he? Because he tried to kill Sheridan. Remember, spoilers. I think that in season 5. I think that was in season 5. He tried to kill Sheridan because he was jealous, wasn't he? Because he loved Delenn, and he went off to become a ranger. And so he's obviously come back because he's got his ranger badge there, which contains water from somewhere on Minbar, but I can't remember where. Who are these? I don't know. 2 people. Could that be Captain Lockley, perhaps? And don't know who that is. Maybe Captain Lockley's, EXO. I've no idea. That it. And then the title thing, Babylon 5, The Road Home. Not the best title. But here we go. So obviously it's set sometime between, season 5 and the Babylon station getting blown up at the end of season 5. That was like 20 years after, wasn't it? Something like that. When Sheridan died, he would simply stop after 20 years. So there we go. They could have had, a few more images, but we want to be spoiled, don't we? Has he put any more in? No, not in the comments anyway. Not that I can see. Somebody's saying, so lovely to have Delenn back on TV, but as I said, they'd have to get somebody else to do the voice because sadly, Mira Furlan has passed away. And I think Jakar, I think he'd passed away. I don't know though. They did mention it might have been in the last episode, or I can't remember where I saw it, but they did say he'd gone beyond the veil, which is, I think Delenn said it, which is their way of saying that he'd died, wasn't it? Anyway, so there we go. The first images from the Babylon 5, The Road Home movie, which I do believe is going to be on Max, HBO Max. I presume over in the UK it'll show the show on Sky Atlantic or something like that, or yar, sea shanty time, etc. But there we go. I just thought that were interesting. Nice to see it, and we'll see. Where it doesn't look over detailed, does it? It's simple drawings, which I suppose is fair enough. I mean, that one actually looks like a 2D animation, like you used to see in like 90s cartoons, like the Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons. Whereas, and that one does as well. Whereas that one actually looks more computer generated, doesn't it? So is it going to be a mix? Is it going to be a mishmash? Because that style is nothing like that style to me, anyway. They look like two complete, and that especially look like two completely different styles to me. But we will see. Right. Next up is Star Wars again. Right. This one's from Slash Film. Got to say it, not Italic Eye Film. Star Wars star Mark Hamill believes Luke Skywalker is no longer necessary. Well, he's Luke Skywalker, he probably thinks. There he is in The Rise of Palpatine with his massive head. Why does his head look so big compared to his body? I don't know. Anyway, when Mark Hamill walked into his audition for the part of Luke Skywalker in the unknown quantity that was George Lucas's Star Wars, he was just some fresh-faced 20-something who'd popped up in television comedies like The Partridge Family. My sister used to watch that. I used to watch it as well, but my sister watched it for, I forgot his name, that singer. It'll come to me. She had this poster on the wall, and my brother stuck a smiley face sticker out right on the middle of his face, and she wasn't happy. Room 222 and One Day at a Time, where he landed the one episode and done role of Handyman Schneider's son. I have no idea what they're talking about. He was a sun-kissed California kid with a boyish pluck, but this was an all-too common type in Hollywood. Sure, it was ideal casting for lots of characters, but so was half of the casting pool. Yes, everybody was, the beautiful people in Hollywood. If Hamill was going to stand out from his peers, the right role had to come to him, not the other way around. Oh, that name popped in my head and it went again. I hate it when that happens. It just pops. Name, then before you can see it or grasp it, it disappears. David Cassidy. That's the fella. That's what I'm thinking of. Right, so it was Hamill's good fortune to beat out William Catt, who'd later achieved TV immortality as the greatest American hero. I think we're also in House, wasn't he? Was that William Catt? I think it was. Yeah, in House, the comedy horror film. Anyway. By the end of 1977, Hamill was the star of the highest-grossing movie ever made and the envy of every kid on the planet. But the film was so successful and instantly beloved that Hamill seemed inseparable from Luke. Would anyone want to see the guy who saved the galaxy play Hamlet? Hamill and the other two principals from Star Wars, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, obviously went on to have long careers in Hollywood. Hamill's post-Skywalker work has largely consisted of voice acting, most memorably as the Joker in Batman the Animated Series and its spin-offs. But when it comes to live action, he has struggled to break free of Luke, so Hamill, at the age of 71, has decided to sever the umbilical himself. I mean, he tried to move away from Luke Skywalker. He did... I forgot the name. He played baddies in a couple of films. They were in a film. I forgot what it was called. Something to do with time, something or other. I think he was a baddie in that. They were in Britannia Hospital. I remember that, where That was like a black comedy where somebody like a Frankenstein's monsters created in the basement of this hospital. He was in that. And other things. Anyway, he was also in The Flash, wasn't he? The old 90s Flash. And replayed the part in the modern Flash as me and names. I would say the Riddler, but obviously not him, is it? Some similar sort of character. Anyway, right, the hero's journey that has reached its proper conclusion. There he is, looking at the binary sunset. Mark Hamill's desire to move past Luke was certainly helped along by Rian Johnson, who wrote a curmudgeonly yet touchingly poetic terminus for the Tatooine-born protagonist in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Ottakar says, I don't remember Carrie Fisher in much. No, she wasn't in a great deal. She was in When Harry Met Sally. She was in a film called, I think, The Time Guardian. That's the one I'm thinking of that Mark Hamill were in. No, she was in one called The Time Guardian. She was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Where she gave him a lift. That was a funny scene. But apart from that, she appeared in a lot of stuff. She became a writer, didn't she? And a script doctor. She did a lot of that more than appearing on screen. What was the film he were in? Mark Hamill. It went out not long. Well, I think early 80s. What it was? Slipstream. That was it. Slipstream. Just popped in my head. Anyway, but I think he played a baddie in that, but I could be wrong. I only saw it once. Where were we? Luke ultimately sacrifices his corporeal form, a la Obi-Wan Kenobi. Not really. Although in doing so, he teaches his one-time pupil, Kylo Ren, a new pupil Rey, decidedly different lessons. It was stupid. Why couldn't he just go there? Why couldn't he just go there to face Kylo Ren? I was saying, before we saw it, and we saw the trailers and stuff and all that, he should have really gone there. And when we saw all the walkers, the big gorilla walkers that they had and the regular ones, they should have gone there and just used the Force and just tipped them all over to show how powerful he was. And but no, he had to project himself, thinking he's the golden child. Anyway, and it killed him. Didn't kill Kylo Ren or Rey when they're projecting themselves across, vast distances, did it? No, it didn't. Anyway, don't get me started on bloody Last Jedi. Of course, death is not the end for the Jedi in the Star Wars universe. Obi-Wan turned up as a Force ghost in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. From a certain point of view. Yoda did likewise in Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi. Oh, bloody phone ringing. Right, I'll be back shortly. Hang on, who is it? Oh, I'm going to have to answer it. I'm going to have to answer it. Bear with me. Hey, I'm back. Did you miss me? It was my mate phoning. I had to answer because I knew it was him. I didn't want him getting upset. It's his wife's birthday today, and I sent her a card, via Moonpig, a card, and it's supposed to be, a little bottle of plonk or some truffles, and they sent the wrong stuff. She's called Jo, is his wife, and they sent a card to somebody called Tess saying "Happy 40th, Tess," with a card with a giant cock and balls on the front. So they found that very amusing. So Moonpig are going to be going to get an email off me, and hopefully they'll send her the proper stuff. Dear. Anyway, such is life. I forgot where I was now. What was I talking about? Can't remember. Anyway, I'll start again from here. Of course, death is not the end for the Jedi in the Star Wars universe. Obi-Wan turned up as a Force ghost in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Yes, because I did from a certain point of view. Yoda did likewise in Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi. Oh, yeah, at the very end of Return of the Jedi, because they all appeared, didn't they? Yoda and Obi-Wan, and in the special edition, for some reason, a young Anakin. Don't know why. Not Sebastian Shaw. And Luke made a spectral visit in The Misbegotten, The Rise of Palpatine. Hamill has also contributed a couple of DA's cameos in The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett. This is probably the last we've seen of Luke. Well, they did say, apparently, that the character of Luke has been cobwebbed, which means filed away. They're not going to use him again. Unbelievable. Well, you never say never, but I just don't see any reason to. Let me put it that way. I mean, they have so many stories to tell, they don't need Luke anymore. I had my time, and that's good, but that's enough. And there he is at the end of Last Jedi, looking at twin sons on Act 2, bless you. Bloody hate that film. This echoes Mark Hamill's previous comments on the subject to Esquire, where he said, "When I read the Last Jedi script, I said, okay, well, that's it for me." And you profoundly disagreed, fundamentally disagreed with everything that Rian Johnson had wrote about Luke Skywalker's character. And you start that process of disengaging from something that's been a part of your life. He then added, people say, oh, now you're going to be able to do a whole series of Luke post Return of the Jedi. I said, I don't think so. First of all, they don't need to tell those stories. But if they do, they could get an age-appropriate actor. A lot of people have said they want, I forgot his name, Sebastian Stan to play him, don't they? Anyway, this is reassuring. The further Star Wars gets away from the Skywalker saga, the better. I don't know about that, but why not? Rogue One is my favourite Star Wars film. I'll die on that hill. Although, I love the original trilogy, but I love Rogue One even more. And that wasn't a Skywalker film. I know Wood appeared at the end, but it essentially wasn't a Skywalker film, showing that the galaxy is bigger than just the Skywalker family. But knowing that there's a Rey movie in the works, there isn't, where she sets about establishing the new Jedi Order, it's hard not to see director Charmin Obey-Chinoy, who likes making men feel uncomfortable, and the other creatives involved with the film, along with any potential sequels, reaching out to Hamill for a bit of Force Ghost mentoring. If these movies are made with more forethought than J.J. Abrams brought to the rise of Palpatine, that was close, wasn't it? A Luke return would be fine, but I'd really like to see Rey realise she's not a Skywalker by blood. She's not, she just took his name, she just stole his name, which would allow Star Wars to close out this exhausted arc, which is why everybody calls it Rise of Palpatine, which would allow Star Wars to close out this exhausted arc once and for all. It's not exhausted. Let Rey be Rey so that this saga may continue to grow. No, she's done, is Rey. It's done with. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen, in my opinion. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the last we see of Luke. Mark Hamill, I wouldn't be surprised if the last we see of Mark Hamill as Luke. Maybe fair enough, maybe a deep fake Mark Hamill and a deep fake voice Mark Hamill, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see his visage, his image, and his voice. Again. So there we go. Let's move on. Happy birthday, Tess. Happy 40th birthday, Tess. Oh, I don't know. Saying that though, I bet she felt happy about the 40 part because she's older than 40. A little bit. Anyway. Where were we? Right, Firefly next. Hang on, full screen again. Right, here we go. Firefly revival. This is from Looper. Will it ever happen? And there's the cast. Don't ask me to remember the names, but I did enjoy Firefly and Serenity. I know that's Mal Reynolds, and I can't remember who Morena Baccarin played. Oh, Gina, what's her face? That's Wash, and by Alan, played by Alan Tudyk, or is it Tudyk? As I always say, however you pronounce it, it's unfortunate. He's the doctor fella. That's Summer Glau as the nutty lass. And the Stargate fella, Stephen Baldwin as Jane Cobb, Jane Cobb in it. Jane's his first name. Anyway, there are a few single season shows out there that have quite the same reputation and cult following as Firefly, created by Joss Whedon. In roughly the same period, the writer-director was riding high off the success of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. The space western series pushed the boundaries of what science fiction could look like on a television budget. There are no aliens in Firefly, just human beings traveling through the void of space looking for a purpose. Led faithfully by the beloved Captain Malcolm Reynolds, Nathan Fillion, the Serenity crew takes odd, usually illegal jobs, fights a galactic alliance. It's not really a galactic alliance, is it? They're only in one solar system. That's the point of it, isn't it? That they've colonized one solar system somewhere out there, away from the Earth that was. But it's a solar system that's been, moons and planets have been terraformed, haven't they? So there's like dozens of them, hundreds of moons and dozens of planets and all that. That's what they said at the beginning of Serenity, anyway. Because there's no faster than light travel, so they've got to go slower than the speed of light between the planets of one solar system. So it's not a galactic alliance. Anyway, and seeks to find a better world. Though only 14 episodes were ever produced, Firefly became a quick fan favourite. It wasn't Star Wars or Star Trek, though in many ways it borrows the best elements from both. I mean, it was a wagon train to the stars. Hey, Otacast says, too late to continue on the foundation of the original. This is it. All the cast have all got older now, haven't they? But they're still youngish, I suppose. It's not like, they're not like ancient, are they? But they're all still working. But anyway, and Morena Baccarin is still gorgeous. And so is Gina. What's her name now? Gina something or other. And Summer Glau, I suppose. Like I said, they're all still at it, so why not? Anyway, where were we? I forgot where I was. But Firefly proves to be something new and exciting, with a tone and cult success that could never be quite recaptured by any other cast and crew, spawning a continuation feature film titled Serenity, which were really good. And the media, apart from the fella, I forgot his name now, on about the signal. I forgot his name now, but lived on that planet with that all dishes. What was the point in that? I don't know. But anyway. And a media franchise that has extended to comic books, novels, video games, and more. Fans of Firefly still find themselves taken to the skies with their favourite band of smugglers. Will there ever be a true Firefly revival? Well, only time will tell. But after over 20 years, the chances don't exactly look good. Why was Firefly cancelled? Because they just made a mess of it, did Fox. The cancellation of Firefly was tragic. When Fox began airing episodes of what was Joss Whedon's latest series, they did so completely out of order. How you do that with only 14 episodes at your disposal seems beyond comprehension. But keep in mind, 2002 is infamous for Fox TV executives making poor choices. They also cancelled Family Guy that year. And instead of kicking off Firefly with a very necessary pilot episode titled Serenity, Fox started with the second episode called The Train Job. Additionally, Objects in Space, the last produced episode of Firefly, originally intended as a season 1 finale, was aired just before the pilot. And 3 episodes never aired during the original Fox run at all, instead premiering in the United Kingdom the following summer. Eventually, the Science Fiction Channel, I don't know, Aired all 14 episodes in order, though Firefly had been off the air for nearly a decade by then. Does it mean Sci-Fi Channel? I don't know. So what took Firefly down? Though the show was mostly well received by critics, high praise sadly wasn't enough to keep the Serenity afloat. Aside from out-of-order episodes and Fox's apparent unrealistic expectations, the real reason Firefly was cancelled was low ratings. Well, that's usually the case, isn't it? So rather than continue to try and build a bigger audience over time, Fox axed the show before it even got off the ground, airing on Friday nights, a time slot sometimes referred to as the Friday night death slot, which is what they did with Star Trek, the original series. Didn't help either, which set the series up to fail. That, along with poor marketing that failed to capture the rebel spirit of the show, contributed harshly to the untimely fade to black of Firefly. You get the feeling that some Fox executives didn't like it and they wanted it, got rid of. You get that impression, don't you? Firefly fans, dubbed browncoats after the band of rebels that some of the main characters once belonged to, are unlike any other. I don't really rebels, were they? It was like along the lines of the American Civil War, wasn't it? Where you had the Yankees and the well, they were called rebels, one I suppose. I don't know, whatever. Confederacy, that's what I'm thinking of. Anyway, some of the main characters once belonged to. I don't like any other. It's because of their love for the series and its characters that the franchise has been able to continue in any capacity for over 20 years. After it sank like a bag of hammers on Fox, many viewers flocked to DVD racks and online marketplaces to express their continued interest in the show. Miraculously, Firefly DVD pre-sales sold out on Amazon within 24 hours. I've got it over there somewhere up there. Fans continued to campaign for Fox to bring Firefly back for another season, sending in letters, emails, and petitions to get their favourite show back on the air. While Fox didn't budge, others noticed their efforts. Recognising the fans' dedication to the story, Universal Pictures acquired the film rights and greenlit a feature set to bring the Firefly cast and crew, citing the show's impressive DVD sales as enough potential to build something bigger. In 2006, a documentary about fan involvement in Firefly and continuing the story called Done the Impossible, The Fan's Tale of Firefly and Serenity, was released as a love letter of sorts to the show and its audience. Adam Baldwin, not Stephen Baldwin, Adam Baldwin, who played Jane Cobb, one of the Serenity's resident mercenaries, is not related to, I think Stephen Baldwin's related to Alex Baldwin, isn't he? Yeah. But he's not related to the other Baldwins. The shooty Baldwin in particular narrated the film, while Jewel State, aka Serenity engineer Kaylee Fry, provided some voiceover work. Ever since Firefly, fans have continued to show up and support their show, constantly hoping to fund or inspire a revival of some sort. There's another Jewel State. She's still looking fine. She's on Instagram a lot. She's keeping in shape. When shows are cancelled, usually that's it. Occasionally fans are able to save shows for a time, or they're revived later on down the road. But following those impressive DVD sales and momentous fan outcry, Firefly returned once again to the screen, the big one this time. In 2005, just a few years after Fox's untimely cancellation, Universal Pictures released the sci-fi action feature Serenity, but only 3 years after it was cancelled. Crikey. See, I got the feeling it like, a long time after it was cancelled, but 3 years. A continuation film set to conclude the series' mythology and satisfy those outspoken fans who hoped for more. Though Joss Whedon originally planned a multi-season series, Serenity allowed Whedon and his cast to revisit the verse yet again, even if even if for the final time. The epic space western genre mashup of the series translated masterfully to the big screen. It's probably what Joss Whedon directed it. It's probably what got him the Avengers gig, to be honest. Not only are the visuals a massive upgrade from the television show, and they were not to be sniffed at on the TV show, really, but the enhanced budget of a feature film allowed Whedon to tell a bigger and more mythology-heavy story than could have been told on the small screen. Well, at least not at the time. Though it was released about 2 years after the series ended, the events of Serenity pick up only 2 months after the impromptu series finale of Firefly, continuing the Alliance's pursuit of River Tam, Summerglow, and the rest of the crew. Of course, the impressive direction from Whedon and the excellent work from the cast only made fans want a sequel even more. The film, bombed. What is it? I don't know. After DVD sales for Firefly skyrocketed, it seemed like a good idea to continue the short-lived series as a feature film. For many, there was even a hope for a continuing Serenity franchise with multiple cinematic installments. Rumours circulated about a potential sequel, but nothing ever came of it. After hoping DVD sales for the feature may do for the film what they did for the television series, a Serenity sequel faded out of Universal's preview. There's no sequel, no secret project regarding Serenity or some such, Whedon told fans on the since decommissioned Joss-themed Whedon-esque website. I'm not even sure how anyone thought there was talk there. With that, the hopes of many were dashed. But in 2015, Whedon was singing a slightly different tune when talking with Empire about the potential future of the franchise. He went on to remark that although he didn't foresee a theatrical sequel, he still hoped for a television revival of Firefly one day. As long as I was able to service the characters with integrity and had enough money so that I wasn't hampered, then I would love to return Serenity to TV, he told the outlet, reiterating his love for that verse and the cast of characters within. There could be a series, there could be a mini-series, there could be all sorts of things. I'm not ruling anything out. Although a sequel to Serenity wasn't likely to happen, some sort of live-action continuation of Firefly seemed possible somewhere down the line. And there's Joss Whedon with his punchable face. I know people like him, but he's a bit annoying. He's smug. He's a smug bugger, isn't he? Anyway, the continued questions of how one can or should divorce the creator from the creation are tough to answer. For some, separating the art from the artist, especially in a television context in which hundreds of artists are involved, is relatively easy. For others, it's nearly impossible. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, there's no denying that the more recent controversies surrounding Joss Whedon, making it increasingly difficult for Firefly to return. There's all this Me Too stuff in it, everybody's infected with it. Ever since Vulture published a 2022 article that produced several allegations from cast and crew members of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Dollhouse, and Justice League, the Firefly creator has been keeping a much lower profile. While Whedon wasn't the only filmmaker associated with Firefly, he is the creator of the franchise and responsible for writing several episodes, as well as the film, which he also directed. Some are still willing to work with Whedon again in the future. Yeah, which shows that it's probably over-exaggerated. The accusations. In an interview on the Inside View podcast, the thing is, in filmmaking, a lot of times the best directors are the worst people. They're the best ones are the ones that get all shouty and say, I want, this is my vision, do it this way, or you're fired and stuff like that. Get off my set, etc. And then you get these like snowflake actors that don't like being shouted at. Kicking off, but not at the time. The kick off later online. I mean, I'm a quiet and shy person, but even I understand that sometimes you have to be aggressive. Even though that's not part of my nature. Anyway, in an interview on the Inside View podcast, Nathan Fillion noted that it would be heartbreaking if Firefly continued without its creator. That was not my experience with that man, Fillion said about the allegations. I would work with Joss again in a second. Wherever the truth about Whedon lies, there's nothing coming down the Hollywood pipeline, making the chances of any more on-screen Firefly adventures slimmer. But despite Whedon's troubles, many of the cast members want to continue on. Excuse me. Depending on who you ask, you may get. Hang on, let's just make sure no messages and then. Oh, hang on. Message on a live chat on Rumble. Hey, if anyone here likes documentaries, please check out our Rumble channel, Insightful Lens. So there you go. Give them a plug. I bet they've got more followers than me because there's a link. No messages on Twitch. Any messages on Twitter? Just refresh that. No. And what else? Instagram. Just refresh Instagram. No. Hang on. No. And what's the other one? Facebook. See if any messages on Facebook. No. Right. So I just thought I'd check that before we continue. Nobody wants to talk to me. Right, depending on who you ask, you may get different answers regarding the likelihood of more Firefly. Both Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk, change your name, Alan, who played pilot Hoban Washburn, have starkly different ideas on a revival. According to Fillion, who has said his time on Firefly was the best job he ever had, there's no real reason for any more adventures. We were able to have a nice kind of final goodbye, he said in reference to Serenity. We had closure, which is more than a lot of people with cancelled shows can say. Nevertheless, in his 2022 interview with Michael Rosenbaum, Fillion revealed that he'd jump at the chance to play Mal Reynolds once more. On the flip side, Alan Tudyk adamantly wants a Firefly reboot, but with a twist. It's going to take a little time. I like the idea of it in another 10 years or so, Tudyk told Esquire. But it won't be in it, will it? Spoilers. He believes that Clint Eastwood's Western epic, I'm going to say Wepic Eston, Western epic Unforgiven is the best model to follow, just with Fillion's character at the centre. Oh, no. Alan, stop it. Conversely, actress Summer Glau commented that she was torn on a revival since Firefly is an underdog story at heart. I think that part of the magic about Firefly is that it didn't last, and that all of the fans are the ones keeping it alive. Though Glau said she wouldn't be able to stay away from a reboot, she isn't sure if the magic could be recaptured. Well, that's something that's true. Is that why Firefly became so popular? Because it was just 14 episodes and a film. And, it's a case of absence makes the heart grow fonder, isn't it? Like Fawlty Towers, the British comedy series with John Cleese. That were only 12 episodes, were 2 series of 6 episodes each, 12 episodes. And they decided, right, we're stopping it after that. It became one of the most, celebrated comedies of all time in the world, really. And the same could be said of Father Ted. But that ended sadly because the main character died, didn't he? The actor. What was his name? I forgot. Dermot. Oh, I forgot his name now. Dermot Morgan. Yeah. Dermot Morgan passed away, didn't he, Father Ted? So, but Father Ted's another classic comedy with a limited number of episodes that has become a huge fan favourite, and the same could be said for Firefly. Anyway, right. Of course, not every Firefly star actively wants to come back for a full-on revival series. Morena Baccarin, who played Serenity, Tennant and high society sex worker Inara Serra, has expressed that she's not overly interested in returning to play the character again in the future. I'm not surprised, She's gone on to have a pretty decent career, hasn't she, after Firefly? Where she essentially played a prostitute, didn't she? So she probably wouldn't want to go back to that. But she has played some, pretty racy things, hasn't she? Particularly on Deadpool. Anyway, I like laying some things to rest, she told Michael Rosenbaum on the 2023 episode of Inside View. We should do a reunion, or we should do like a podcast or a talk, or like a one-off like Friends did. That'd be fun, right? I don't really need to resuscitate the show for me. Baccarin was speaking of Friends, the reunion, in which the original cast reunited on the original set to reminisce on their time with the series. So I never watched Friends, I don't know. I saw the odd episode, but I didn't see the appeal personally. While many had hoped for a narrative continuation of Friends, the cast reunion special is as close as we're likely to get. With that in mind, a Firefly reunion special might be the most practical way to bring the beloved cast back together and possibly even reconstruct the beloved Serenity itself. It could also be a way to gauge the popularity of the studios. If it's a lot of people watch it and they think there's still interest in this, maybe we should get another batch of episodes or a movie, a streaming movie or something like that. In much the same way this Babylon 5 animated movie's happening. Maybe they could do an animated Firefly movie. Anyway, if the powers that be refuse to revive the space western series proper, then this sort of reunion might be the next best thing and could provide the necessary closure that so many feel is lacking from the franchise. Though Baccarin is seems pretty uninterested in returning to Firefly. She did note, God, what's up with me? She did note that she'd likely consider another feature film in the same vein as Serenity, which gives us enough hope to keep soaring. And there's Ron Glass, who played Shepherd Book, signing autographs. I hate seeing that. I do hate that people be like, sign this for me. And they're just going to sell them on eBay. That's all they're going to do. Although Summer Glau, whose acting career has slowed down a bit in recent years, is torn on returning for a Firefly reunion, the actress noted at her Fan Expo Canada panel that she'd probably have a change of heart if something actually happened. Of course, if there was ever any kind of reboot, I would be there with bells on, she told fans. I wouldn't be able to stay away. I mean, the most notable thing that Summer Glau's done after Firefly was the Sarah Connor Chronicles, where she played Cameron, didn't she? The T-800, the female version of the T-800, which were essentially the same character as River Tam, essentially, but in robot form. But I still enjoyed that. That only lasted 2 seasons and has garnered a bit of a cult following as the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I've got that on DVD up there as well. Likewise, both Jules State and Gina Torres, that's who she is, who played Mal's second-in-command Zoe Washburn, because she was married to Washburn, have expressed interest in returning for more, as did Sean May. Is that Maher or Maher? That's a Maher. Who played the semi-official Serenity crew Dr. Simon Tam. Even Adam Baldwin is willing to return, so long as he thinks the writing is good. So with just about the entire cast on board, who could be missing? On Firefly, actor Ron Glass played Shepherd Daryl Book, a preacher with a mysterious past that was never revealed on screen. His past, he was revealed on screen, but his past wasn't. We knew there was something, more to him than just being a religious man. Book meets his fateful end in Serenity, though his origins are eventually revealed in the 2010 limited comic series subtitled The Shepherd's Tale. I don't really read comics very often, so I didn't see that. Sadly, Glass never saw a Firefly revival in his lifetime and died in 2016 of respiratory failure. Many of his former Firefly co-stars and Joss Whedon, offered their condolences to Glass's family and memorialized him on social media, reminiscing about their time together aboard the Serenity. Without such a stoic shepherd to guide the Serenity, any future continuation will feel a little less complete. Right. There's Mal. In the late 2010s, Fox thought about pursuing a Firefly revival. It's a long article, isn't it? I should read the buggers, shouldn't I? Before I put them in the list. Anyway, we'll plod on. In the late 2010s, Fox thought about pursuing a Firefly revival. I think I just spilled water all down my face. It turns out Fox exec Michael Thorne is a big fan of the series and, like many other fans, wants a revival. During that time, Fox was reviving previous hits such as 24 and The X-Files for limited runs, and the network reportedly looked at bringing back the Space Western 2. The 24 ones weren't too bad, although they did curtail. There was like 12 episodes, in like 24, which defeated the name, really. And the X-Files, I wasn't a huge fan of the new X-Files. I saw one season of did they do 2 seasons or was it 3? I can't remember. But I didn't see the last season for some reason. I don't know why. Just never got round to it. Anyway, it had come up before, Thorne told The Wrap in 2020, just after Disney purchased 20th Century Fox. But we had the Orville on the air, and it didn't make sense for us to have, as a broadcast network who is very targeted, to have 2 space franchises on our air. Of course, the Orville soon moved to Hulu, which opened the door for a Firefly return, but Fox doesn't seem to have pursued it any further, while dubiously sourced, clickbaity rumours of an in-development PG-rated Firefly reboot for Disney Plus, with a new cast and no involvement from Joss Whedon, elicited all too predictable fan outrage. No new information, rumoured or otherwise, has emerged regarding the matter since roughly 2021. Considering that Disney Plus already has a popular space western series you might have heard of called The Mandalorian, the mouse doesn't seem to have an immediate demand for more Firefly. I'm talking about comics next. Tying into the release of Serenity, Dark Horse Comics published a mini-series titled Serenity: Those Left Behind, meant to fill in the gaps between the series and the feature film. This eventually led to 2 more limited comic series before catching up with the film's timeline. Leaves on the Wind was released in 2014 and was followed by No Power in the Verse in 2016, officially ending Dark Horse's comic book tenure with the franchise. I hate when they just say verse. Just does me head in. Say universe. It's not Twitter. You're not trying to save space. Since Joss Whedon and company penned Dark Horse's Serenity Tales, they considered more or less canon, filling in gaps from the show's run. Additionally, an ongoing series of Firefly novels has been published by Titan Books, with each story interweaving between the show's 14 episodes. Then, in 2018, Boom Studios acquired the comic book rights and began releasing stories in the verse, with their Firefly comic book rebrand, with input from Joss Whedon, writer Greg Pak, crafted new adventures for the Serenity crew. Soon a sequel series titled All New Firefly. That sounds like something from 70s, doesn't it? All New Firefly, the new adventures of Firefly, as seen on TV, was launched, ending in December 2022 with a one-shot titled Big Damn Finale. That's a very Whedon-esque thing, isn't it? While it's still unclear if we'll ever get a proper Firefly revival, the comics are so far the truest continuation of the short-lived space western. While we hope that some other project, like a movie or an audio drama, could be produced somewhere down the line, one thing remains ever clear: Firefly may be gone, but no one can take the sky away. Yeah, that's from the song, from the theme song. So there we go. So that article, as long as it was, gave us no information at all, did it? Firefly revival, will it ever happen? Well, according to this article, they don't know. Probably not. But some people want it and some people don't. Anyway, let's move on. That was a waste of time, wasn't it? I pressed the wrong button on the wrong screen again. Right, what's next? Oh, we're about Galaxy Quest next. Another Looper article. Oh, this one's not another long one. What did the Star Trek cast really think of Galaxy Quest? And there's the lovely Sigourney Weaver, who looks amazing in a blonde wig back then, didn't she? And apparently she had that's a false chest. Because she said she took it home, a false chest, but doesn't look very false to me. But unless it's one of those push-up bras, I don't know. And Tim Allen, Right, the 1999 sci-fi comedy hit Galaxy Quest took the sci-fi exploration series concept to a whole new level by examining the lives of the cast of a Star Trek-like show years after it went off the air. But what was a fake scenario to the actors was still theoretically real in the minds of its fans on the convention circuit, as well as an alien race called the Thermians, who had been monitoring the series in space as historical documents. As such, the crew members of the NSEA Protector and its leader, Commander Peter Quincy Taggart, the TV alter ego of Tim Allen's Jason Nesmith, are recruited by the Thermians and transported to an actual working version of the ship to help battle the nefarious reptilian humanoid warlord Rothhar Saris, Robin Sachs. Since the film mirrored Star Trek so closely, various publications over the years began to garner reactions from the cast members of not only the original Star Trek series, but its successful follow-up, Star Trek The Next Generation. Among the most notable Star Trek actors to give his observations about Galaxy Quest was Captain James T. Kirk actor William Shatner, who perhaps pretended in an official StarTrek.com chat via Questarian that he saw few correlations to the original Star Trek. I thought it was very funny. I can't do William Shatner. I thought it was very funny, and I thought the audience that they portrayed was totally real, but the actors that they were pretending to be were totally unrecognizable, Shatner said in the chat. Certainly, I don't know what Tim Allen was doing. He seemed to be the head of a group of actors, and for the life of me, I was trying to understand who he was imitating. I think he's pretending not to know into there because it were obvious. Managed to get your shirt off, I see. Given the Star Trek stars' very public disagreements over the years, an interview in December 2022 proves that George Takei's blunt response to William Shatner proves their feud is alive and well. It shouldn't come as a big surprise that the Sulu actor's response to Galaxy Quest is the polar opposite of his former commanding officer on TVs. I think it's a chillingly realistic documentary, Takei told Sci-Fi via Questarian. The details in it, I recognised every one of them. It is a powerful piece of documentary filmmaking. Takei also noted, when the day comes that Earthlings are taken by aliens, it will be Star Trek fans, much like the fans in Galaxy Quest, who will save the day. I don't think so. All in all, Takei said Galaxy Quest had him rolling in the aisles with laughter, and in perhaps an obligatory shot at his Star Trek co-star, he added for Sci-Fi that Tim Allen had that Shatner-esque swagger down pat, which he did. Takei also told the publication with a laugh about the wardrobe malfunctions in Galaxy Quest are very real. I roared when the shirt came off, and co-star Sigourney Weaver, who plays Gwen DeMarco / Tawny Madison, rolls her eyes and says, "There goes that shirt again." How often did we hear that on set? I don't remember her saying that. I remember Alan Rickman saying, "I see your shirts. You lost your shirt again." Anyway, while William Shatner apparently didn't get what Galaxy Quest was about, he did. Patrick Stewart, who portrayed Captain Jean-Luc Picard on Star Trek The Next Generation, did, once he realised that the film wasn't mocking the franchise thanks to a call from a co-star. I had originally not wanted to see Galaxy Quest because I heard that it was making fun of Star Trek, and then Jonathan Frakes rang me up and said, "You must not miss this movie. See it on a Saturday night in a full theatre," and I did. And of course, I found it was brilliant. Brilliant, Stewart told the BBC via Questarian. What's a bloody Questarian? Stewart admitted that no one laughed louder or longer watching Galaxy Quest than he did, and he found the premise about the fans being so dedicated to the series in the film funny and touching. The idea that the ship was saved and all of our heroes in that movie were saved simply by the fact that there were fans who did understand the scientific principles on which the ship worked was absolutely wonderful, Stewart recalled for the BBC. And also that the Thermians had recreated the ship and somehow it worked. Even down to the beryllium sphere and the omega-13. Anyway. Frakes elaborated on his call to Stewart in the 2021 interview with Collider. I said, "Dude, I just saw a movie that is about us and captures us like they've been reading our mail." By the way, the scene, really, Galaxy Quest was inspired by a story from William Shatner that he overheard. I think it was William Shatner. They recreated the scene in the film where Tim Allen goes to the toilet and he's in one of the stalls and he overhears people coming in and making fun of the actors, and that they all hated, the star, and that's supposedly based on a real life incident that happened to William Shatner. Apparently, anyway, where were we? Dude, I just saw a movie that is about us and captures us like they've been reading our mail. He also recalled how the late Alan Rickman's character, Alexander Dane's role as Dr. Lazarus's problem with peeling makeup was similar to his Next Generation co-star LeVar Burton's issues, playing Geordie LaForge. We didn't have really have peeling makeup. We only had a hair slide over his eyes, didn't it? When they took it off, they had like little lights and stuff, didn't they? That they probably stuck on. But that was about it, wasn't it? Is he thinking of Michael Dorn? I can imagine Michael Dorn having peeling issues, from his prosthetics. Anyway. Frakes also told Collider how he was baffled that no sequel to the film was made, but that should change since Galaxy Quest is getting the series treatment from Paramount Plus. We'll see. Will Wheaton? Hang on, I can do it. Where is it? Where have I put it? Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Any opportunity for that. Who played Wesley Crusher, the teen son of Beverly Crusher, admitted in an interview on willwheaton.net.
Will Wheaton.
Via Questarian, obviously, that he spurned conventions at one point because it made him feel like a loser, talking about what he did so many years ago. All of that changed when he fell in love with Galaxy Quest. Considering what he knows now about the film, Will
Wheaton.
He even would have taken a role in it if it were offered to him. I thought it was a brilliant satire, not only of Trek, but of fandom in general. The actor told willwheaton.net.
Will Wheaton.
The only thing I wish they had done was cast me in it and have me play a freaky fanboy who keeps screaming at the actor who played the kid about how awful it was that there was a kid on the spaceship, alas. Brannon Braga, a long-time writer and producer in the Star Trek franchise, beginning with The Next Generation in 1987, also loved Galaxy Quest. He didn't come aboard in 87. I think in the early 90s, maybe. Brannon Braga came on board. Also loved Galaxy Quest, and like Wheaton,
Will Wheaton,
the film brought him down to earth. It made me a little depressed because the things they were making fun of were things we take far too seriously, Braga told the mothership via, of course, Questarian. There we go. So they all loved it, and it was true to life. A lot of us know that, especially the convention scenes. The convention, if you go to conventions, you recognise a lot of stuff that goes on at conventions, particularly some of the nerdier fans, going on about asking the stars questions, technical questions about the show. And obviously the actors have no idea, do they? Because apparently in Stargate conventions, where you get the Stargate crew on for Q&As and stuff, if a technical question comes along, they automatically hand the microphone to Amanda Tapping, who played Samantha Carter, the genius. But obviously she's just an actor and a director, and doesn't know the technical stuff. By the way, that's the scene where she's about to drop an F-bomb. She drops an F-bomb. There's Tawny Madison, but they overdubbed it. Anyway, right, let's move on. So, yes. So obviously, that's a Galaxy Quest. It's a classic film. It's one of the best Star Trek films ever made, even though it's not about Star Trek officially. But go and watch it. It's really, 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 really good. Right. Next up, crikey, going to be a long show, is this? Sticking with Star Trek, sort of. Well, not sort of. The last article was sort of about Star Trek, and this one is as well. Star Trek's Cirroc Lofton has his own ideas on what Jake Sisko has been doing since Deep Space Nine. And there he is, as the young Jake Sisko. Jake Sisko's Cirroc Lofton was perhaps one of the more underutilized characters on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I mean, good. I didn't really particularly like the character, although he had some good episodes. Jake was the teenage son of Captain Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, who was a commander when they started. Didn't get to be a captain until season 3. Right at the end of season 3, he was promoted to captain, I think, or at the beginning of season 3. No, I'm sure it was the end. Anyway. Jay was a teenage son of Captain Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, and was brought on board Deep Space Nine while the station was being rebuilt, repaired more than anything, after a hasty retreat from its former owners, the Cardassians. Jake and Ben had multiple intriguing DS9 episodes together, including an excellent story where they attempted to fly an ancient solar-powered starship together. It wasn't really solar-powered, it was a solar sailor. Yeah, because it was solar-powered, but it wasn't. It didn't have like solar panels on it. Moved on the solar wind. That's what it was about. Jake was also best friends with Nog, Aaron Eisenberg, a local Ferengi troublemaker who would go on to join Starfleet, rise and become an ensign and, graduate the academy, and ended up having a ship named after him in Star Trek Discovery. Anyway, Jake, however, only got a few episodes of his own, albeit a few good ones. In The Visitor, October 9th, 1995, Jake saw Ben get sucked into a wormhole-related subspace pocket dimension. Everyone assumed Ben was dead, but every few months and then every few years, he would appear from subspace for a few moments, not having aged, or having not aged. The episode saw Jake age into an old man, played by Tony Todd, as he tried to rescue his father from his weird time trap. The Visitor is quite good. Quite good. It's one of the best episodes of Deep Space Nine. It's, I think, it's perhaps maybe the only episode that made me cry because it is heartbreaking in places. It's a really good episode. But otherwise, Jake, from a production standpoint, served more or less as an antidote to Wesley Crusher, Will Wheaton. Oh, I ain't got me thing, never mind. The teenage boy character from Star Trek The Next Generation. Jake, unlike Wesley, had no Starfleet ambitions and possessed no desperate need to impress the adults in his life. He wasn't a narc or a goody-goody. Indeed, he forged his own path as a journalist and as a novelist and was free to make mistakes. Jake was rarely more than a supporting player, but his presence was welcome. I don't know if I won't say it was welcome, but you didn't really miss him when he wasn't there. That's what I'm trying to say. It's been 30 years since the debut of Deep Space Nine, and Lofton, talking to Screen Rant, had a few ideas as to what the 44-year-old Jake might be up to now. It's worth remembering that Star Trek has entered into a very nostalgia-heavy period. Several of Paramount's current Trek shows are dedicated to legacy characters or rely on references to past shows. Villains from Deep Space Nine were major players in the most recent season of Star Trek Picard, The Changelings. And a new episode of Star Trek Lower Decks took place on Deep Space Nine, which I've not seen because it's rubbish. On the Lower Decks episode, Hear All Trust Nothing, September 29th, 2022, audiences could see that Colonel Kira, Nana Visitor, and Quark, Armin Shimmerman, still lived on the station, but there was no update on the show's 30 other central characters. Jake Sisko hasn't been seen on screen since the last episode of Deep Space Nine in 1999. In the 24 years since then, Jake must have developed a lot as a character and grown into a fascinating middle-aged man. According to Lofton, Jake has likely undergone a spiritual transformation, he said. Yes, I have thought about it, and because there's no real closure to how Sisko leaves from Jake's life, I would imagine that Jake will be seeking that kind of closure and be trying to communicate with his father in some way or another. If that meant, studying the Bajoran faith, if that meant trying to have an experience with the orbs and seeking those orbs to find, finally contact the Sisko. I think that's what it means. I think it would do something to that effect, which sounds reasonable in my opinion. At the end of DS9, Ben Sisko entered a nearby wormhole. Well, sort of. He joined the Prophets, didn't he? Because he essentially died, didn't he? Sacrificed himself to save the Prophets, and ended up, they took his non-corporeal form, and he went to live with them. A nearby wormhole, a central feature of the series, and conjoined with a species of non-corporeal aliens that lived inside. The aliens were worshipped by the Bajorans as divine prophets. Ben was deemed a holy figure, the emissary, the title of the pilot, and he later more or less evolved into a god. They're not really gods, they're aliens that live outside of linear time, so all of time is the same to them, past, present, and future. They don't understand linearity. It's a hard concept to put across because they communicate with you, but that also means that they must have some concept of linear time, because to communicate with a linear being, you've got to speak in linear fashion in a sentence that has a beginning and end. But if you live outside of time, everything happens all at once, doesn't it? You know everything instantly. Anyway, whatever. The orbs, meanwhile, were artifacts that allowed corporeal beings to telepathically communicate with the prophets. They were hourglass shaped and possessed ineffable spiritual energies, and each one teaches a different spiritual lesson. Unlike other Trek shows, Deep Space Nine tackled spirituality and religion, as well as the corruption of churches. Mostly, Kai Wynn, the baddie Kai Wynn, played by the late great. Tip of my tongue. As soon as I'm going to say it, Louise Fletcher. Anyway, very frankly, at the beginning of the series, Benjamin Sisko rejected his status as the Bajoran emissary. By the end, he embraced his fate. In doing so, however, Sisko seemed to have vanished forever. Jake lost his father, but seemed to be too determined a character to just let him go. In much the same way in the episode The Visitor. It makes sense that Jake would convert to the Bajoran faith, meditate with the orbs, and attempt to make contact again. If not studying religion, Lofton felt that Jake might be living an equally ascetic life on board a solar-powered cosmic sailing vessel, the same model that he and Ben flew in the episode Explorers, May 8th, 1995. Lofton said, "The other thing I contemplate is that he might be in one of those Bajoran solar sail ships that he took a trip with his dad in, and maybe take a solo trip trying to find himself and reflect on the memories that he had with his dad." So I think those are the kinds of things Jake could be doing. Yeah, why not? Not going to find his dad in the solar sailing ship. He knows where his dad is. His dad's in the wormhole, and we know where the wormhole is. But he could use the solar sail ship to cruise around the Bajoran solar system, avoiding those tachyon eddies that flung it to the Cardassian system at warp speed. But anyway. In Lofton's mind, Jake grew into an introspective, enlightened person. Whether or not he has a successful career as a novelist or reporter, Lofton doesn't say, but his character's devotion to growth and calm is admirable. One might easily be able to picture Jake as a monk. What? As a Bajoran monk? A Vedek Sisko. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That'd be very interesting. Seeing Jake become a Bajoran Vedek, maybe even Kai Sisko. That'd be even more interesting, in my opinion. I've got given myself the tingles thinking of that. Kai Sisko. Then maybe he would learn. He would commune with his father, through the orbs, and know that his father's fine, and living with the prophets. Yeah, go for it. That's what I say. Right, let's move on. Time's a thingamabobbing. Right. Next up, Formula One TV drama led by Star Wars star confirmed. One will focus on the tumultuous ascension of a fictitious family-owned Formula One team and marks the latest move by the sport into popular culture. And there's that looks like I don't. Is it Monaco? It could be. I don't know. Can't really tell. I think it is, isn't it? Turn 1, I think that. Going up the hill. I think it's Monaco. Anyway, Formula One's expansion into popular culture looks set to continue with a new family television drama becoming the sport's first officially sanctioned scripted show. As reported by Deadline, One will focus on the tumultuous ascension of a fictitious family-owned Formula One team as it contends with fierce personalities, ever-changing rivals, and multi-million-dollar stakes. Do you think it's inspired by the Williams team? Probably. But there were a few family teams, weren't there, back in the day? There's only Williams left, and I don't think any of the Williams families involved with it anymore. But like I said, there were Williams and Sauber, and even McLaren back in the day, when it were Bruce McLaren, were a family team. Anyway, what else were there? I can't remember. Jordan as well. Felicity Jones, best known for her roles in Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and The Theory of Everything, will star and produce the show with Band of Brothers Tony To to executive produce. Oscar-nominated Mark Fergus and Hawk Osby are slated as writers. Remember, they did The Expanse and are rumoured to be doing a reboot, hopefully, on Amazon of Stargate. We will see. Maybe not a reboot, a continuation. That's the rumours anyway. Anyway, as slated as writers, should the ongoing writer's strike in Hollywood find a resolution? Formula One head of original content, Isabel Stewart, said Felicity is one of the most talented and engaging actresses in the world. We are thrilled to partner with her, Tony Philippe Maigret, ITV Studios America President and Managing Director, Mark and Hawk. By the way, Hawk Osby, amazing name, isn't it? To bring, is it his real name? If it is, his parents are amazing. To bring the glamorous, high pressure, and competitive inner workings of the world of Formula One to life for audiences across the globe. Formula One is the subject of a Lewis Hamilton produced film which will star Brad Pitt, as well as the hugely successful Netflix docuseries Drive to Survive, as it aims to reach new audiences. Will I Am entered a partnership with Formula One by releasing his single The Formula featuring Lil Wayne ahead of the Miami Grand Prix, with One set to continue the sport's pop culture exploration. It is an honour to be part of this unique and exciting partnership with Formula One, said Jones. The high stakes of world of Formula One continually delivers edge of your seat drama, and to have the opportunity to create a show based in this world is a thrilling prospect. I feel incredibly privileged to be working alongside this talented team, including Mark and Hawk. Tony and the team at Bedrock Entertainment. When he's called Hawk, I want him to have like a false hand that's got, mandibles and stuff. Tony and the team at Bedrock Entertainment and the whole team at F1 to bring our story to the screen. Toe added, One has been driven by collective passions to tell the story of the characters who inhabit this unique world, what happens behind the scenes of the great and complex sport, while capturing the massive scope and scale of F1. We're grateful that Felicity has graced us with her enduring commitment and talent. We are thrilled to collaborate with the team at Formula One. We look forward to getting down to work with Mark Hawk and the One team to bring this global series to life. So that'll be interesting. Because to be honest, these days in Formula One, the backstage, in the garage dramas and stories are more exciting than the actual races, to be honest. A lot of races are a procession, You have one team that dominates. This is what it's been like for the last probably 20 years, to be honest. You have one team that dominates and, wins most of the races. And then the races themselves just essentially become processions, them just going round and round. Obviously, not all the time. You do get the odd race, but you get some excitement. But most of the excitement comes from inside the garages and the dramas of fallings out and spying scandals and all this, and the technology that's being developed, and that's more exciting than the actual races. So we'll see. But it does sound like, to me anyway, that maybe only if this was inspired by the Williams family, because we had Frank Williams, set up the team. They were world champion team for a while in the 80s and the 90s. So they were one of the top teams. They're not anymore. They're down there. But obviously, when he, I think he was injured in a car crash, wasn't he? Ironically, and he was paralysed. I think he's died now, hasn't he, Frank Williams? Not that long ago, but a few years back. And his daughter eventually took over, didn't she, Claire Williams? Who I kind of, had a bit of a thing for. But she's not there anymore, apparently. I think it's totally different people running the team now, but it's still called Williams. Anyway, so that's interesting. So Felicity Jones, Jyn Erso from Rogue One, is going to star in that. But there's also a film, it said, didn't it? Lewis Hamilton, who's a former world champion, produced film. Starring Brad Pitt. So is that going to be the same as the Sylvester Stallone one? Sylvester Stallone was saying that they were going to do a Formula One film, and that fell through, and ended up doing the IndyCar racing film, didn't they? Driven, which I didn't mind. But it's supposed to be a Formula One film. But apparently, all the teams, I don't know if it's this one or if it's the Brad Pitt film, but all the teams have agreed to be in the film. So there's going to be there's 10 teams at the moment. So in the film or the series, whichever, there's going to be 11 teams. There's going to be the teams that we know, Williams, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, all them. And this other team as well. and they're going to use actual footage from the races. I don't know if they're going to CG in this new team or just film some bits of a new car, a different team's car, just going around some corners and winning some races or crashing and stuff like that. I don't know. But it'll be interesting because I'm into Formula One. I'm into Formula One, but not really into other types of racing, which is weird. It's just me. I don't know why. I used to like watching touring car races, but I kind of don't now. I get bored with it. Same with like Le Mans and that. That bores me. Motorcycle racing. I've got the hair for it, but I don't find it interesting. Not to watch on TV. It's different when you're there. If you're at a live race, it's different, isn't it? But anyway, let's move on. I'm waffling and losing viewers. Never mind. Right. Star Trek again. We're getting there. We're nearly done. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, as Pike and Spock both want a next generation crossover. There they are. It looks dark, doesn't it? That bridge of the Enterprise. Star Trek has been boldly going where no one has gone before for upwards of 50 years at this point. But for some, there's still a little more room left to push that pioneering spirit. We are well and truly living in the age of blockbuster crossovers, and for the first time in Trek history, even this typically high-minded property is starting to get in on the action. There have been crossovers in Star Trek since, God knows, since Trials and Tribulations on Deep Space Nine, when they went back to the original series. Since the pilot episode of Next Generation, and they had Dr. McCoy in it. So, it's not a new thing. Anyway. And of course, don't forget Scotty were in, season 6 episode Relics. Right, where more? And Sarek has been in an episode or two. Perhaps inspired by Marvel doing its thing for the last 15 years and the recent multiverse trend sweeping the globe, the franchise has tabbed the hit series Strange New Worlds and the animated show Lower Decks as the perfect projects for an upcoming crossover episode. I'm dreading it. I am. And after getting a taste of that, it sure seems like the two main co-stars of Strange New Worlds want even more of the action in the future. By the way, if you're watching Paramount Plus, I don't think you are, but just in case, or if you want to replay of this, send me some screeners. Drop me a line and I'll send you an address. Or just, it's you just send me a link, can't you, to the streamers? But do that, please. I won't spoil anything. So I love Strange New Worlds. It's the only Kurtzman Trek that I've bought the Blu-rays of. I haven't bought any Discovery or Picard Blu-rays. I buy season 3 of Picard on Blu-ray, but not the others. And after getting a taste of that, it sure seems like the two main co-stars of Strange New Worlds want even more of the action in the future. I may have just read that twice. I can't actually remember. In the new July 2023 issue of SFX magazine, Strange New Worlds co-leads Anson Mount, who plays Captain Christopher Pike, and Ethan Peck, who plays the pointy-eared science officer Spock. It's also grandson of Gregory Peck. Were asked to aim for the stars and imagine their ideal Star Trek crossover. Naturally, the pair had the exact same answer, the fan favourite, the Next Generation series. Oh, excuse me. Oh, dear. Following the adventures of Patrick Stewart's Captain Jean-Luc Picard and the crew of the Enterprise D, but as for why they choose that show specifically, the two had very different and very personal reasons. Who wouldn't want to team up with one of the grandest captains in all of Starfleet and fly off on adventures to parts of the galaxy unknown, exploring the stars together? Even though there's a few hundred years of canonical history separating the crew of the Strange New Worlds and the Next Generation, well, Anson Mount and Ethan Peck aren't letting facts get in the way of their ultimate crossover wish list. Not a few hundred years, it's like 100 years, isn't it? Strange New Worlds is set in 2350 something, isn't it? 2250 something, sorry. And Next Generation started in, I think, 2363, I think it was 2363, so just over 100 years after Strange New Worlds. But Picard is set about 140 years after, isn't it? Something like that. Right, where were we? Well, Anson Mount and Ethan Peck aren't letting facts get in the way of their ultimate crossover wish list. Their reasons for picking this era of Trek in particular, however, come from a deeply personal place. In the same interview published in SFX magazine, Mount described having known Stewart since he was 22 years old in grad school, having met each other through an unnamed mutual friend of theirs. He went on to say that friend has now passed, and every time Patrick and I see each other, we marvel at how it's just so sad that she's not here to see it, because she really would have loved to see us as part of the same franchise. And if we could actually be on the same show or movie or something, that would really be the icing on the cake. Peck's motives are no less touching. According to the Spock actor, I'd have to say the next generation, just because I've gotten now to work with longtime Trek director and Will Riker actor Jonathan Frakes, and I've gotten to know some of the cast. They're so fun and wonderful, and I've become a fan of the show. Furthermore, I think Data is my all-time favourite character. It would be a dream come true to have a scene between Spock and Data. There's already been one, played by Brent Spiner, of course. If you were a fan, you'd know there's already a scene in Star Trek The Next Generation between Spock and Data in the episode Unification. Anyway, the two-parter. And it's a great scene. It's a great little bit of dialogue between them. It's one of my favourite scenes in all of Star Trek, to be honest. Where they're talking about Picard and Spock. I think there's an almost Vulcan-like quality to Captain Picard. And Data finds that fascinating because Picard is one of the templates that he uses to try to become more human. And it's a lovely little scene. This is a great scene. Anyway, that sound you just heard is a billion Trekkies spontaneously combusting over this dream scenario. As I've said, it's already happened. Season 2, is this the same one? No, this is the same article. Is this the same article? I think it is, isn't it? Season 2 of Strange New Worlds is shaping up to take the incredibly strong foundation established last year and push things to even greater heights. For those hoping for crossovers beyond the scheduled one with the animated crew of Lower Decks, namely Jack Quaid's Brad Boimler and Tawny Newsom's Beckett Mariner, I hate that show. We'll have to keep waiting. As unlikely as it is, some people have said it gets better. I got like halfway through season 1 and I couldn't watch anymore. It just got me so angry. A bit like when I watch Mrs. Brown's Boys. I get angry at that. It's awful. But I've been told it does get better, but I'll never know. As unlikely as it is that this hypothetical Strange New World / The Next Generation mashup will ever come to pass, especially after the series finale of Star Trek Picard recently wrapped up with a nice nostalgic bow, that's not the only wild card that our favourite Strange New Worlds co-stars have up their sleeves. When asked later on in the SFX magazine interview for their most out there suggestions for another genre or IP to smash together even, with Strange New Worlds, their answers were pretty hilarious. Anson Mount offered up a very endearing answer with a self-deprecating laugh. Man, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of Hal Ashby films. I have no idea who that is. The name rings a bell, but don't ask me to name any of his films. As much as we'd love to see the late director of 1971's Harold and Maude, never seen it, somehow get his trek on, Ethan Peck's suggestion is even more wild. Quote, I'm always joking with the cast how we could take in a brawl any other cast. So I think it'd be really funny if the Enterprise entered the Marvel universe and just whooped on Thanos. I just think it'd be so funny, but it's an impossible dream. Well, yeah. Well, you can't criticize the guy for a lack of imagination. Complicated rights issues probably make this about as likely as a Star Wars / Star Trek crossover. Just look on YouTube, there's lots of them. But as our favourite captain always liked to say, make it so. Star Trek Season 2 debuts June 15th. Not long, 4 days on Paramount Plus. And that's it, right? There we go. So that's it for that one. So yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. I mean, they could do it. You know, look at the sci-fi, they can do anything. They can do anything these days, as long as it makes sense. Some sort of sense. It can still be fantastical, as long as there's an explanation for why it's fantastical. That's what we want in Star Trek. Right. Two more, and then we're done. Right. Indiana Jones, producer, confirms time travel theory. It's a plot point that drives the story. This is on Digital Spy. Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny's producer, has shared that there is a keyword in the new film's title that helps drive the flick's narrative. It's been apostrophe there, mate. Who wrote this? Jamie Body. It has been 15 years since the last film in the franchise, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, hit cinema screens, and fans wish they had the Dial of Destiny to fast forward until June 30th when the fifth and final installment featuring Harrison Ford at the helm lands. But it's not looking good, is it? What the tracking it to do like $60 million in its opening weekend, which is like rubbish these days for a film of this magnitude and budget. It's going to lose money. It's going to lose money as Dial of Destiny, unless some weird thing happens and fans suddenly, it turns out to be good, and fans just suddenly start flocking to see it, on word of mouth. But anyway, speaking, I need another drink. I'm getting cotton mouth. Yeah, right. Speaking to SFX, them again. Producer Frank Marshall shared the importance of time in the new outing. The Dial of Destiny is perfect for us because it's about time, he said. It's math and time. When he says math, he means maths. We always tried to have some sort of archaeological connection, and there was certainly that. There's a mythology to the Dial of Destiny that exists. It turned out to be the perfect thing for this movie. So allegedly, the rumours are that what's going round anyway. The reviews sort of said it's the Antikythera mechanism, which is a lump of brass that were found in, I think, 1900 off the island of Antikythera in Greece, and it's not a time machine. It turns out it's like a planetarium. It's basically an ancient computer with cogs and stuff and gears that can display the heavenly bodies, the sun and the moon and the planets and stuff that were known at the time from an Earth-centric viewpoint. So it was, ahead of its time. Apparently, it dates from about 100 BC. But the rumor that it's an Antikythera type object that they're using, that is some sort of time machine. Can let you look back in time, and maybe not move in time, but maybe look back. But there's other rumors that you can actually travel through time with it. The big rumor is, spoilers maybe, is that the travel back in time, probably beat the bad guy or whatever. So saving the future. But Indy doesn't want to move forward in time again for whatever reason. I can't remember. Doesn't want to go back forward. Because his life at the beginning of the film apparently is not very good. He's got divorce papers and stuff, and he's drinking, and he's living in a dingy flat apartment, whatever. So he's not got a lot to look forward to. So he doesn't want to go back. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge punches him, knocks him out, and carries him back. Probably does a fireman's carry, throws him over the shoulder. I bet she does. Or maybe not. But that's the rumour. Where were we? The idea of time travel gives the film a nod to the sci-fi genre, and when asked if the film was going full-on sci-fi, he told the publication, well, yes and no. Well, yeah, they all are, really. It works in the plot because it is scientific. Well, I guess it's scientific. It really works for what we are doing, and it sets up a whole lot of great plot points. The question is, if you can control time, like in Back to the Future, would you change things, and what would that mean? That's a big question for everybody, and certainly is in the movie. This film will see Ford as Indiana Jones working with his goddaughter Helena, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, as they face off against Jürgen Voller, Mads Mikkelsen, a former Nazi who now works for NASA. It is not beyond the realms of possibility, because that's what happened. Project Paperclip, look it up. A former Nazi who now works for NASA in the race to find the dial that can change the trajectory of history. Marshall added, it's a plot point that drives the story. The character wants to go back and change time. There you go. So there must be some time travel involved, even though James Mangold's saying it isn't. and change what happened. And obviously, it turns out to be Nazi Germany. The Nazis are kind of a thread we've had through all the movies. I think it definitely works this time. And they either look at a more ancient time, or they go back, or there's some sort of flashback. It's been suggested that everything that you see in the past is a flashback. But this kind of that kind of quashes that idea, doesn't it? The character wants to go back and change time, change what happened. So if he wants to, there must be the possibility that he can. Anyway, but there's not rumors. There's actual photos from the set of like Romans and stuff in there, and on Roman boats and things. So unless that's a flashback showing how the Dial of Destiny was made or whatever, and it was lost dropped over this boat or whatever, I don't know. But I don't know. Indiana Jones: Dial of Destiny is released in UK cinemas on June 28th and in the US cinemas on June 30th. So we get it first. Yay! But I've not been going to see it. I would have gone to see it, but I can't get to the cinema very often these days because my son won't go and I can't leave him by himself. So such is my life. And he won't want to go and see it. He'll go and, I've got to take him to watch films he wants to bloody see, but he won't go and see anything with me. A big shit he is. Hey, right, last story. And then we can go and do something in the sunshine, like the rest of my audience appears to be doing. Anyway, here we go. Cold Lazarus TV spaceship prop sits in Leighton Buzzard front garden. I've never heard of Cold Lazarus. I've heard of the phrase Cold Lazarus. I think there's an episode of either Star Trek or something like that called Cold, or maybe Doctor Who or something, because I've heard that phrase before. But anyway, there's a picture of it. Right, a spaceship built for a cult science fiction TV series called Lazarus, I've never heard of it, has been saved from being crushed. The craft, which has an engine and is about 8.5 metres long, 28 feet, sits on Jack Breskier's driveway in Leighton Buzzard in Bedfordshire. It was discovered in August. We discovered it's there, isn't it? The neighbours have been looking at it for years. It was discovered in August in Wendover, Buckinghamshire, by his friend Joe Ceravena. He initially thought it was an American-style caravan that was a bit different. Yeah, like one of those the Airstream, them big silver caravans. I think it was one like that. The friends thought they could turn it into a bar, but after research discovered it had been used in the 4-part 1996 drama series by Dennis Potter. Well, I bet it was weird then. Which was shown on Channel 4 and BBC and starred Albert Finney. Mr. Ceravena, apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I said I was driving to work one morning and saw it buried under trees. It had sat there for 15 plus years. He said he got permission to take it away as it was due to be scrapped. Crack, it's getting warm in here now. Got my fan on. I'm so sweaty. Whew. The vehicle, which has wheels and 2 steering wheels, was towed away after they spent several hours cleaning it up. It has been on Mr. Breskier's drive ever since, as the engine had seized up, Mr. Ceravena said. So they must have driven it about in the series. There's a spaceship or something. Yeah, spaceship. Well, it's a spaceship if they're driving it about. Maybe it could go into space as well. I don't know. I just said I haven't seen it. There's some photos. There's the seats. Oh, there's the engine. Since being put up for sale for £25,000, there have been some local and international interest, Mr. Is it Breskier or Brescia? I don't know, said. Because it's a British sci-fi series, it would be better to be left in England and for someone to take it and do something with it and put it back to normal, he said. That's it. There you go. So if you're interested in it, it wants £25,000 for it, 25 grand, and it's yours. Needs tidying up. It's no glass in the windows, no door for that matter. But it's got laser guns. I don't know if they're working or not, but the engine's seized up. So it probably needs a good seeing to. But there you go. I've never heard of it. I'm going to have to look it up, Cold Lazarus, and see what it's about. Right, that's it. That's your lot. We've done for today. Right, so I can go and cool off. Right, so thanks Ottercar for joining in, and we had DJ early on. Thanks for joining in. So wherever you are, apologies for the interruption earlier on, but you know, they may have to tell me. But his missus's birthday card off me to Tessa's 40th birthday with a giant cock and balls. Unbelievable, Moon Pig. You're going to get an email off me. Right, we'll leave it there. So, hang on. Thanks for watching. Where's my things gone? There we go. Thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, hang on, I remember saying big ever. Until next time, I'll see thee, my big thumb. I'll see thee.